The question is, who will be the Vikings starting quarterback in Week 2? Head coach Mike Zimmer said Monday he hasn't decided who will start against the Packers on Sunday night and isn't in any rush to choose a starter. Shaun played well enough in a win against the Titans on Sunday, but Minnesota did trade a first-round pick for Sam Bradford. Max, what does that say about Bradford?
It says he's been there for a week and a half, and it's an NFL offense. I don't care how easy it is. Oh, you're going to give the ball to Adrian Peterson. When they stack the box, it's not that easy, as we just saw. They have a great defense. Oh, you're familiar with this? No. He just got to the team. He was not in camp with him, nothing like that. It's going to take a minute for him to learn the offense. I said by week 3 he's going to start. But that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't start week 2. Stephen A., you know who Sam Bradford could be on the Vikings? It's possible that he's Jim Plunkett with the Raiders. I mean, it's possible. Both drafted #1 overall. Both won the Heisman Trophy. Both did kind of middling success, maybe below average, with the first team with which they played. Both had a stopover on another team briefly, and both wound up on teams with excellent defenses that appeared ready to win. Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls and a Super Bowl MVP. Bradford's in a very good situation. Just because he's not starting week 2, I don't think there's that much to read into other than it's an NFL team. You got to learn what the hell is going on there before you start.
Well, first of all, I would like to applaud you for connecting with our resident researcher, David Sabino, who's absolutely exceptional. I mean, it just shows your brilliance, Max Kellerman, to bring up some quarterback that was drafted #1 overall 45 years ago to make the comparison to Sam Bradford. I'm so touched. I mean, I learned something new every day from you. Congratulations with that.
When Sabino doesn't two-time me with you, I win every argument. Go ahead.
Well, actually, then that explains why you think you win every argument.
Whatever it is.
When you've lost every argument, because I rarely use David Sabino because I don't need him as much as you do, but I love him, and he definitely edifies my mind, and I appreciate him. But here's the deal, Max Kellerman. Here's what it comes down to. This is so weak on the part of Coach Mike Zimmer. It's pretty damn pathetic. You hid your quarterback in Game 1 against the Tennessee Titans. You couldn't generate anything offensively. They stacked the box and made sure Adrian Peterson couldn't do anything and dared Shaun to throw the football. This is the Tennessee Titans that we're talking about, who were up 10-0 at halftime before they had a meltdown because they turned over the ball 3 times in a span of 7 minutes, giving up 2 touchdowns along the way, a pick 6 by Mariota, and then a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. That's how the Minnesota Vikings were scoring points on this particular day. Their offense was anemic. It wasn't that impressive. Shaun ain't the dude. Everybody in their grandmama knows it. And Zimmer doing everything that he can to sit up there and fool or to make people second guess who's going to be the quarterback for his team shows how much lack of faith he has in his offense. Just man up. It's your guys against our guys. It's my coaching against your coaching. It's mano y mano. Let's handle our business. That's the kind of confidence a coach should be displaying in his team instead of hiding who his quarterback's going to be until the very last minute because he wants to sit up there and make you wonder who you have to prepare for. It's just weak as weak comes. That's not what this is about.
This is not that complicated. The guy got there.
Give Sam Bradford the job. Give Sam Bradford the job.
Shaun
ain't no damn quarterback. Give Sam Bradford, knowing 20% of the offense is better than Shaun. Give him the damn ball.
Let me get this straight.
And let him go. Listen, let me tell you. Listen. What did I just say? I didn't stutter. I said 20% of Sam Bradford is better than Shaun.
Let me get this straight. Has Sam Bradford had an injury history in the NFL? That's hampered his career?
Yes.
Yes, he has. You want him to get to a new team, new system, etc., and then expose him before he knows the playbook, before he knows his teammates. Expose him to harm's way when you have him under contract for 2 years and you just traded
When he first arrived, hold on.
Draft picks for him?
When he first arrived in Minnesota the other day, Pat Schumer is a guy that worked with him in both St. Louis and Philadelphia. I specifically highlighted that familiarity, which obviously assisted in Minnesota being interested in getting Sam Bradford to Minnesota to begin with. So you've got Kyle Rudolph, you've got Laquan Treadwell, you've got Stephon Diggs, you've got the best runner in football, and what we both agree is a pretty solid offensive line. And you're trying to tell me that you want to sit here in week 2, He's been there a week, and you want to second guess or make people believe you're wondering whether or not Sam Bradford can be there because of Shaun Hill?
By your own, it has nothing to do with Shaun Hill.
You might play quarterback better than Shaun Hill.
That for sure.
I mean, come on.
This has nothing to do with Shaun Hill. This has to do with the size of the investment they've made in Sam Bradford, the belief that he can compensate for the loss of Teddy Bridgewater, which may be a 2-year absence. Luckily, one of the reasons they traded for Bradford, as you pointed out a couple days ago, that because he's under contract for 2 years, Sam Bradford's expensive over that time, both in terms of what you pay him and what you gave up for him. You believe you're poised to win. It's not that you don't think. You're not sure that he's ready yet, that he knows the team well enough and the playbook well enough yet, Sam Bradford, to take over. So you might wait an extra week. And that's a problem because you don't want to sacrifice him on the altar of winning game 2 of the season when you plan on winning for the next 2 years? Listen. I think everybody's insulting the intelligence of Sam Bradford. We question Sam Bradford's durability. That's true. We question, does he have that it factor to be a winner? Yes, but we don't question his ability to throw the football. We don't question, whether or not it's going to, his intelligence in terms of comprehending the playbook. I mean, my God, Shaun Hill is the quarterback. Shaun Hill. Here, Sam, go learn all your teammates. Go learn the whole playbook and all your teammates in a week and a half. No preseason, no practice, no nothing.
Enough from you two. We want to hear from our first take fans. America's team took Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall, and at one point, Zeke had the highest-selling jersey. But did his debut live up to it? According to Zeke, his NFL debut was just average, despite the fact that he did score his first career touchdown. That's a quote from him. That's not why I was brought here to be average, so we've got a lot of work to get done, a lot to work on. Stephen A., what do you expect from Ezekiel Elliott the rest of the season?
Well, I think the first thing that I expect from Ezekiel Elliott is for him to stop lying to the American public. He called himself average. It was significantly below average. A matter of fact, it was quite putrid, and that's a word that Ezekiel Elliott should know. 20 carries for 51 yards. That's a 2.6 yard per carry average. Somebody needs to tell Ezekiel Elliott that a guy by the name of Ray Rice is not in the league primarily because people keep saying, even though we're trying to move beyond the whole domestic violence thing, the dude was on the downslide because he was only averaging 3 yards a carry when he ultimately ended up out of the league. You start your first day in the league coming from Ohio State, rushing for over 200 yards in your last game in a Buckeyes uniform, being the stud that you were, ultimately ending up being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft and playing behind what is widely considered to be the best offensive line in all of football, and you could barely do a damn thing. So when you sit up there and call your performance average, with the exception of that one TD yard scamper, I think it was for about 6 yards, you did pretty close to nothing the entire day. So when you say it was average, I like Ezekiel Elliott. I've got faith in him. I believe in his abilities. But the first thing he needs to do is to stop lying to himself and to the American public, and that's what I expect from him, by calling his performance average. It was below average, significantly below average. And if you continue to average 2.6 yards per carry, I promise you, we're going to see a hell of a lot more of Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden when he returns than we will see from Ezekiel Elliott, because he looked like Trent Richardson out of Bama, the former number 3 overall pick. We knew Trent Richardson could play too. Real stocky, short, muscular, hardcore, had a lot of power. But when he got to the NFL level, those are grown men that you're going up against with families to feed and mortgages to pay. And they ain't worried about you and your strength because they've got their own. You've got to have some elusivity to your game, some versatility, some quickness, some speed, some agility. You've got to have all of that. You've got to bring the whole arsenal. And I'm saying to Ezekiel Elliott, we didn't see that this past Sunday against the New York Giants. We didn't see it at all. Them acquiring Damon Harrison from the New York Jets, who is primarily recognized as a run stopper, certainly has helped to buffer the Giants' defensive front four, and I give them credit for that. And their defense looks better. We'll see as the season progresses. But Ezekiel Elliott, to answer the question directly, what I expect from him is to be more of a truth teller, to call it like it is, and when you stink up the joint, own it, okay? Because you ain't going to progress if you can't admit how much you initially regressed. That's what I expect from Ezekiel Elliott, and I think truthfulness is ultimately the way towards prosperity, particularly in his case. To sit up there and delude yourself makes you an official member of the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't think you want that right now.
No, telling the truth doesn't hurt. But you know what really helps in terms of prosperity? Running behind a great offensive line. That's what the Dallas Cowboys have. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be just fine. You saw in college when the stakes were at their highest, he was at his best against the best competition. Now, where there is a kind of crack in the facade of the Cowboys offensive line, maybe it's Doug Free, maybe it's the right tackle, you know, veteran guy, maybe on the back nine of his career. And for a running back, that's kind of important that the right side of the line is good, especially as many times as Ezekiel Elliott's broken his left hand. He carries it on the right side as a right-handed quarterback. And generally, if you don't have real protection there, your run game could be a little suspect. But we saw DeMarco Murray, not the most elusive guy, run behind very much the same line or a similar line and rack up the yards. If you want to look at week one and try to forecast his season, now, we don't have other evidence on Ezekiel Elliott in the NFL. But Adrian Peterson had 19 carries for 31 yards behind a really good offensive line in Minnesota. Now, we have a whole history with Adrian Peterson. We know he's one of the greatest players who ever lived, so no one's panicking. But Adrian Peterson was worse. I mean, you know, Ezekiel Elliott on 20 carries had 51 yards. Adrian Peterson on 19 had 31. Todd Gurley, and I think a lot of Ezekiel Elliott, I think behind the similar offensive line, to Todd Gurley, he wouldn't be as good. You know, Gurley, I think, is another level of talent, even from Ezekiel Elliott. Gurley carried the ball 17 times, had 47 yards. They're good running backs. We saw Gurley last year. He's an excellent running back already. One of the top 2 or 3 in the game, you could argue. Adrian Peterson's one of the greatest who ever lived. Still, you know, expected to have a big season. Neither guy did anything. And particularly in Peterson's case, running behind a good line. So one game is a tiny sample size. You know Ezekiel Elliott's going to be good. I would not say Trent Richardson at all. You want to say a DeMarco Murray? Okay, he runs downhill more than side to side and all that kind of stuff. Not super elusive. But behind this line, a guy who runs that way can and will have a lot of success, and that goes for Ezekiel Elliott this year.
Max, let me tell you why I so strongly disagree with you, because I think you're missing a point here. You're not wrong about anything you're saying. You're just incomplete. You're not taking into account 2 things. Number one, the guys he has to compete against. In terms of Alfred Morris, who was effective for the Dallas Cowboys in the second half, was actually better than Ezekiel Elliott was, along with Darren McFadden's return because he had a 1,000-yard season last year. And you're not taking into account the fact that even though he's the number 4 overall pick and it's in their best interest to ensure his success, the flip side is the Dallas Cowboys are a bit desperate because time is running out on Romo. They know that they've got Dak Prescott, but they would prefer to have Romo because of his experience and how far a veteran could take you as opposed to a rookie. And you've heard Jerry Jones allude to this on several occasions publicly. Clock's ticking. He's not getting much younger. Dallas Cowboy fan base, 20 years plus years since a Super Bowl appearance, let alone a title. You've got all of those things working against Ezekiel Elliott. He is not some rookie that's coming in that just has the cart laid out for him where here's the ball, it's your show, it's your team because you're the number 4 overall pick and we're investing in you. They've got 2 other backs that they can rely upon. They've got a quarterback that they're expecting to come back, and they've got an owner desperate to win now.
If they thought they could rely on the other running backs, they wouldn't have used their first-round pick on Ezekiel Elliott. They were also playing the Giants.
No, remember, Alfred Morris
came after. But McFadden, fine. But then they still picked up Alfred Morris. Ezekiel Elliott's going to get, he's going to be the bell cow, if not the primary option, or vice versa. You look at the Giants, where they spent their money, defensive line. You didn't mention Olivia Vernon, who's, you know, goes after the quarterback, but is also good against the run.
I forgot him.
Yeah, Dak Prescott.
I just forgot his name. I just forgot him.
Right, $200 million on the line and in the secondary, not the safeties, not the linebackers, but the corners. So here you have a rookie quarterback, you know, not deer in headlights, but certainly it's a big experience for him. And his best receiver down the field, there's a blanket on him, no matter where he goes, because they got 3 guys who can play at the corner position, the Giants do, and they have a vastly improved defensive line, making it difficult up front. So it's harder on Prescott. It's harder on Ezekiel Elliott. It's his first game. He's going to be fine. Ezekiel Elliott's going to have a big year.
Okay, you can believe that. I'm not so sure. I hope he does, but I ain't so sure.
We will leave it there.
You got him on your fantasy team. You better hope he does.
So Zeke has something to prove.
Because I just learned to play fantasy, and y'all tricked me.
We will leave that one there. Don't have time to touch it.